Normally, I like to have at least 2 test systems, preferably one Intel and one AMD, floating around the office. Not only because it makes me feel like the Sultan of Brunei, but because, I like to test things in different platforms to see if weird behavior persists and all that. Although, lately, I've had a bit of an issue with my AMD system, which, as you can see here, is built in an Asus Nezuko-chan case. Now, this case may be very pink and kawaii and all that, but it's quite short. And considering that the average graphics card these days is at least 12 miles long, nothing fits in it. It's a huge problem. So in today's video, I'm going to move the AM5 test system into a fancy new case that NZXT sent over, which will hopefully solve our girth dilemma. Now I realize having a big-ass radiator in the front of the case doesn't help my problem at all, even though I did remove the middle fan, but still, only very small graphics cards fit in here. And there's nowhere else the radiator will go. Now if you remove this pathetic little RTX 3060 and try even this normally sized graphics card, an AliExpress RX 5700 XT, we'll see that oh, it actually fits. Never mind. We're gonna have to go get a bigger graphics card. Let's try this chunky boy RX 6700 XT, which doesn't really fit. I guess if we removed the 360mm AIO from the front, it would fit, but then we don't have the E-pin of a 360mm AIO, so yeah, new NZXT case. It's a flimsy ass justification. That is the heart of our system, which has some Gigabyte X670 motherboard, a 7600X Ryzen 5 in there, we've got 32 gigs of Corsair DOM plats, and then the Deepcool 360mm AIO. Oh, and we've also got some Patriot SSD action. But yeah, so let's move that into the fancy new NZXT case. Now, going just by the box, this NZXT case may be going too far in the other direction and be too big. And I guess there's nothing wrong with that, but I don't really want to have to blow out my rectum every time I move the case for a different camera angle. Anyway, let's see how it looks. Let's give it a try. Very much looks like NZXT packaging in there with the purple. Ooh, it's the H9 E-Lite. Now, I actually don't feel like turning this box around several times, so I'm gonna be very innovative about how I unbox this case. I'm going to open up both boxes and then turn it around and see if I can lift them both off at the same time. That sounds like there's no way that can go wrong. Let's see if my unboxing innovation works out. It's a pretty looking case already. Twist. Oh! Yeah. Cool. That was only mildly catastrophic. That is quite the case. Actually, when you flip it around, which I guess I'm gonna have to get used to maneuvering this thing around, but you can see that the whole back panel is ventilated. We've got some more ventilation on the top, and then there's also the exhaust fan in the main chamber. But I think temperatures shouldn't be much of a problem with it. Now, in terms of power supply, I'm using this 750 watt Corsair unit because it's the highest wattage Corsair power supply I have free at the moment, and these beautiful sleeved cable replacements only work with Corsair power supplies. I know 750 watts is pretty loser pathetic for a lot of modern GPUs, but I guess I'll cross that bridge once it catches on fire at some point down the line. That is a huge dust filter on the back. Damn. So this is to mount a bunch of SSDs and stuff on. Oh, it's on a little hinge. Now, before I put it down, I do want to figure out how to get these glass panels off. I'm assuming you start with the top. Oh, okay, that just kind of pops up. And then with this front glass panel, it seems like there are 3 screws you undo to take that off. Wait, there's a 4th screw in the bottom? I am not a big fan of that. It makes popping this front glass panel out way more of a pain in the butt than it needs to be. Although, in terms of the main side panel, I think it's easier. You just have this one standard NZXT thumb screw, and then it undoes. Okay, so at least this one is pretty easy to remove. Hey, the side 360mm radiator mount's also removable in standard NZXT fashion. I like that, very convenient. Now this case has a ton of radiator mounting options. There's the side mount, there's the top mount, and you can even fit a 360mm radiator in the bottom. Now despite the fact that it may not be the optimum placement, I am going to drop the radiator in the side mount. Because this case has a top glass panel, we're going to be able to get some very sexy B-roll of graphics cards and stuff through the top of the case. I'm sure it's going to be worth it. Another pretty cool feature of this case, and again part of the reason why the radiator is mounted on the side and not the top, is that this top 360mm radiator mount is actually removable. The case also comes with a 280mm bracket in the box, but if you remove both of them you get a nice clear view through the top. And there goes my rectum. Whoa, look at that majestic view through the top of the case due to our negligent radiator mounting. I think it's worth it. So it's finally done, we have our system set up, and we're gonna do some gaming on it to see what kind of temperatures we get in this massive backbreaking case. So give me about half an hour and then we'll check back in. So it's been over half an hour, and with the ambient temperature of 15 degrees Celsius in the room, we are getting some very good GPU temps. Look at that, 60-ish degrees Celsius. Although with a similar ambient temperature, I did get about 4 degrees Celsius lower with the same RX 6700 XT in a Be Quiet 500DX, which does have the intake fans more directly blowing on the graphics card, so bear that in mind. And because we've got that big, beefy 360mm AIO on the 7600X, which is huge overkill, but it does mean that we get also in the mid-60s in terms of CPU temperatures. So generally, all around, good things. And now all I need to do is ensure my rectum.